Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravajagacharya Starsapta His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravajagacharya Starsapta His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Antikoti Vaishnava Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Welcome devotees to Bhagavatam class. Today we're taking from the 6th canto, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, chapter 9, the appearance of the demon of Vritrasura, text 49. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naveda Kripanashaya Atmano Guna Vastudrik Vasyam Tan Ichato Yachedat Yadi Sobi Tata Vidya Naveda Kripanashaya Atmano Guna Vastudrik Vasya Tan Ichato Yachet Yadi Sobi Yata Vidhi Naveda Kripanashaya Atmano Guna Vastudrik Tasya Tan Ichato Yachem Yadi Sopi Tata Vidyaha Naveda Kripanashaya Tasya Tan Ichato Vachin Yeti Sopi Tatavitab. Anyone on Zoom like to chant? All right. Word for word, please repeat. Na, not. Veda, knows. Kripana, a miserly living entity. Shreya, the ultimate necessity. Atmanaha, the soul. Guna Vastudra, who is attracted by the creation of the modes of material nature. Tasya, of him. Tan, things created by the material energy. Ichata, desiring. Yachet, one bestows. Yadi, with. Sahapi, he also. Tata Vidaha, of the kind. A foolish Kripana who does not know his real interest. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. Those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers, Kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. Excuse me. He must also be considered. There are two classes of men, namely the Kripana and the Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who knows the Brahman, absolute truth, and one who knows his real interests. A Kripana, however, is one who has a bodily conception of life, not knowing how to utilize his human or demigod life. The Kripana is attracted by things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas who always desire material benefits are foolish, whereas Brahmanas who always desire spiritual benefits are intelligent. If a Kripana, not knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks something material, one who awards it to him is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him material things. He desires instead the Lord. Krishna does not award him material things, the material things he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he will forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripana offers prayers to Lord Krishna for material things, the Lord takes away whatever material possessions the Kripana has and gives him the sense to become a devotee, as stated by the Lord in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:39. Ami Vikya e Murake Vishyakea Diva Charanamritatiya Vishaya Bula Eva. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall introduce him to the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet, and make him forget illusionary material enjoyment. If one sincerely prays to God for material possession in exchange for devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish, like such an unintelligent devotee, shows him special favor by taking away whatever material possessions he has and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this regard that a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison. The mother, being intelligent, will certainly not give him poison, even though he requests it. A materialist does not know that to accept material possessions means to accept poison, or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from material bondage. That is the real self-interest of a human being. Jai. Om Jnana Timarandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadadmayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a little bit of a cough still. 1 second. So this is a very nice purport. I'm just looking at some things, trying to highlight something that I read that I thought was very nice. Okay. All right. So translation once more. Those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers or kripana. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. So I like how in the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada says there are two classes of men, namely the Kripanas and the Brahmanas. And he also says this same phrase, there are two classes of men, namely the Devas and the Devatas. There are two classes of men, namely the Asuras and the demigods, many times in Srila Prabhupada's books in Bhagavatam. So it's interesting that he's saying it again here with the remarks of a Kripana and a Brahmana, as he would usually say it in regards to a demon and a demigod. So we can assume the position of a demigod is related, like any godlike person, is related to a Brahmana, someone who knows Brahman and is Krishna conscious. And the Kripna, as someone who's a materialist, is related to the position of a demon, someone who enjoys material nature, or whose purpose is to enjoy material nature without giving it to Krishna. Enjoy their own activities without the intention of offering the result of that enjoyment to Krishna. So I wanted to speak a little bit about our values, what we value in life, because I was working on this yesterday, going over a value chart to try and figure out, okay, what are the actual things that I value within myself, like in my life, what are my core values? I don't actually have them here, I have them on my computer, but I wanted to read the list that I got if I can find it. Because it's very fascinating how our life can be, especially in the New Year sort of thing, to think about the trajectory of the year. What am I wanting this year to be like? What kind of person am I wanting to be? Am I wanting to develop Brahmanical qualities? Or am I wanting to develop the qualities of a miser, a Kripana? What are the things I'm looking for in life? And yes, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So, do I want to develop the qualities of someone who's like described here as like knows the real interest of life, is on the path of Tato Brahma Jigasa, like searching after the absolute truth? Or am I gonna sink into the lower self, which is like the Kripana self, like one who's attracted by things created by the modes of material nature, always desires material benefits, foolish. I was reading this and I was like, wow, that's so me. Or not me, that's who I currently am. But the me that I want to become is someone who's attracted solely by um, Krishna Gita and has no interest in these material things. Which of course is interesting because as we progress through um, the different phases of life, we're also um, having to involve ourselves a lot with material things. So it's very interesting. So yeah, before I read about the personal values, I'll get to that in a second. I'll talk a little bit about simple life because in these personal values chart that I came across, one of the values that you can have in your life is simplicity, which means to voluntarily live simply with few things, to be all right with plain living. Which is interesting that that's in the category of like values. So I just thought of it when we were reading today's purport because Srila Prabhupada is very expertly capturing the beauty of a simple life and saying that anyway, Krishna, if you go to him with material aspirations, like I want this, Krishna, I want this for my own self, then Krishna will take it away, and instead you'll be left with nothing, which will actually help you realize Krishna faster, because then you'll be dependent on him, which is often, well, there's a couple reasons, but um, often when we hear that like devotees of Krishna, they're not materially wealthy, as opposed to like devotees who worship like Durga Devi or people who worship who are Shivites who are devotees of Lord Shiva. They might have material wealth because these demigods, they're easily pleased and they just want to like reciprocate right away. But Krishna, he's not like that. He's, as Srila Prabhupada says here, Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. So if we come to Krishna with our um, own desires in mind, thinking, oh, Krishna, please give me so much wealth so that I can enjoy in this way and in this way and this way, Krishna will think, well, that's not actually your real enjoyment. Actually, that's just going to entangle you. And the result is you're probably going to end up taking another birth in the material world. So instead, let me give you something that will like actually be your real pleasure. So in that way, we get the mercy of Krishna, which is to realize, actually, yeah, I don't. This wasn't what I was thinking before. Was enjoyment actually isn't, um, and now I get to enjoy life in Krishna's way, which is actually way better. So Lord Chaitanya is saying here in this quote from Chaitanya Lila, Madhya Lila, since I'm very intelligent, why should I give this full material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusionary material enjoyment. So, yeah, I think this is quite interesting because there are people in our movement who are very exalted devotees who actually do have a lot of material fame and material like influence and material fortune. But I think these people, because they're such great devotees, they're using that in Krishna's service to sort of reach out to a group of people that normally wouldn't be able to access Krishna consciousness so easily due to their extreme fame, extreme wealth, extreme, um, yeah, like nobility in a sort of knowing people kind of way. But these people also need to become Krishna conscious. So it's almost as though there's people who are empowered in a certain way to preach in that way. They have the karma to preach like that. Um, and their Krishna is giving them that facility so that they can use their own wealth and their own energy to like reach out to so many people. Like I'm just thinking of Dhanasham Prabhu, like Jay Shetty and his wife Radhe. They're like, yeah, very wealthy and many people know about them and they're very famous, but actually they're like just using all of that to preach Krishna consciousness more. So it's quite amazing that that wealth can be used in such a way. But for the average devotee like myself, or the average trying devotee like myself, um, if yeah, Krishna gives us the blessing of a simple life, or at least the experience of a simple life. Like someone was telling me yesterday that Krishna, when we have the good fortune of being able to live in like a brahmachari or brahmacharini ashram for a couple of years, we can get a taste for the beauty of a simple life. We can see, we can see how the yeah, there's actually um, a taste in simplicity. Like, wow, I only had this many belongings, or this many belongings, or this is all that I have to my name. Or I remember sometimes in the ashram whenever I still don't actually do it very often, but like check my bank account to see how much money was there. I remember at one point in time I like got down to like nothing. I had no money in my bank account at all. And I was like, wow, I'm so peaceful not having any money in my bank account because there's nothing for me to get mental over like what should I spend my money on? What should I spend my money on? Like my parents gave me some birthday money one year and I was being like, oh, should I buy this on Amazon? What about if I buy this? And this would be really useful and I could use this in my service. And I remember being like, oh, I don't have anything. Like I have nothing to my name. Um, and that was just like peaceful. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just depend on, my ashram to facilitate, my service to facilitate. And Krishna always provided exactly what I needed at the time. Like, I remember at one time my health wasn't so good. It was definitely, it could have been better. And um, and I was like, oh man, I want to go see this like naturopath doctor. I was like, oh yeah, she's quite expensive, but I feel like she could really help me. She was really trending in the ashram at the time, so a lot of girls had gone to see her. And I'm like, yeah, she's really good. She's really good. She's like, oh my God, I'd really like to see her, but I don't have the money to like go see her. And then like within a week, I got this check from the U.S. government in New Zealand because I'm still a citizen. They were sending out all these like compassion checks to people, I think during or after COVID or something. Um, so I got this check in the mail, and I was like this is like 1,500 US dollars, which is in New Zealand like $3,000. So I was like, oh, this is enough for me to see her for like exactly the time I needed to see her for. So Krishna just like perfect time for me to receive that money. Which was funny because I remember like my brother who was living here at the time hadn't received his check from the government, and somehow I had gotten mine in a different country before he got his. So yeah, Krishna just provides exactly what we need so that we can practice Krishna consciousness successfully. And I've been really trying to, yeah, keep that point in my heart that, if we just depend on Krishna, if we do the depend on Krishna program, that will actually always be successful. It's when we start making our own plans for our own material enjoyment that things become a little tricky if we take Krishna out of the picture. Um, yeah, which of course is a very tricky balance as trying to negotiate, trying to like figure out how to function in life outside of a single ashram. So yeah, I wanted to speak a little bit about this year being a time for reflection and trying to prioritize in our life what our like core values are and like who we want to be, what kind of person we want to be, what kind of devotee we want to be, what kind of things we want to like achieve for this year. I know it's like the sixth day in January or seventh day, so it's a little late. But anyways, it's never too late until it's March, and then you're already halfway through the year. But so yeah, what are the kind of things that we're looking for in life that we want to try and achieve? What are our visions for this year? So I'll just read a few of these core values that I found were really interesting, with their like definitions. Just things to consider. There's like must be about 20 or so of them. But yeah, so there's of course on here because this was created by devotees. there's a category for spirituality, which is like Krishna consciousness, to connect with God through prayer, meditation, worship, and daily remembrance, devotional service, and to fulfill one's obligations according to divine principles, to recognize the interconnectedness and sacredness of life. So there's that. And then there's also wealth, to have money beyond your needs, to be able to give profusely in charity or live an expensive lifestyle, to learn how to make, manage, and control large sums of money. There's responsibility, to be committed to keeping your word and doing your duty, to be dependable and accountable. Organization and order, to regulate your time and activities, to be neat, clean, and orderly, to like efficiency. Family, to make time with family and be and participate in family activities and to celebrate, care for family, and honor family and family traditions. Creativity, to express your unique talents in arts, music, home, decoration, etc. Communication, to regard healthy interactions, sharing and receiving messages with clarity and respect as very important. So yeah, these are just a few, not ones that I'm particularly interested or not interested in, but yeah, just things that stimulate the mind as like personal values put in such a way where, yeah, you really have to think like, oh, okay, do I value what I take friendship over my health, or would is communication more important than character? Is creativity more important than family? Like, where do things line up? Would I prefer to be wealthy over spirituality? Like, what do these things mean to us? And within this, when I was thinking about this, I was like, okay, so I made my list, got my priorities sorted, and then I was thinking about my own personal self, like, what is something I really want to focus on? And of course, as it is every single year, my resolution is always my health, like getting in better shape, doing more exercise, eating properly, going to sleep on time, and focusing on my sadhana. But this year I wanted to focus on something more, like give myself more specific goals, because every year this happens and every year I forget. So this year I'm trying to focus specifically on one goal to do with my sadhana and one goal to do with my reading. And I was listening to this really nice lecture this morning by S.B. Keshav Maharaj. And he was saying, he was talking about reading. And it was really nice. It was like a dynamic workshop that he was hosting. It must have been for a devotee audience. And it's called Rejuvenate Your Reading. I can share it later on one of our groups. It was really nice. He was giving these points about when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we're actually developing a relationship with Srila Prabhupada, which I feel like most of us know, but it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget about Srila Prabhupada if you don't read his books. And then when you look at him, he can become quite intimidating because you're like, oh, I don't have a relationship with that person. And he's very great. So um, the the mood can be like, oh, Srila Prabhupada's quite intimidating. Or Krishna on the altar, like I don't know Krishna very well because I don't, I might serve him, but do I actually know who he is? Of course, we could never know Krishna, but um, to develop the relationship is very important. Just like in any relationship we put in so much effort and so much time, so many tears and so much sacrifice and so much laughter, and there's so much that we put into it of our own self to develop the relationship and make it, yeah, to make it like very strong. So in the same way, if when you read Srila Prabhupada's books, we're developing that relationship with Krishna and with Srila Prabhupada. And then when that relationship with Srila Prabhupada becomes really strong, then we can actually start to understand Krishna more because we could only access Krishna through the mercy of the spiritual master and through Srila Prabhupada. So, yeah, Maharaj was saying that it's really nice, even if we make like a small goal for our reading. Like, okay, I'm going to read, like in New Zealand for so long, we had or we had the program that we read for 2 hours a day, which was so nice. And I always struggled with that because always struggled with my reading. It's a little hard for me to read. yeah, I'm a little dyslexic, so it's a challenge for me to read, especially um, plain text. But that's an excuse, and I can do it anyways. Um, so even if we make a goal, like there's so many amazing goal setting practices that Vaikshesha Prabhu has established with his Become a Sage page by page program. You can just read this or this, read for this amount of time. Or even setting a time, like I'm going to read um, 10 minutes, or I'm going to read 30 minutes a day. And one day a week, I'm going to read an hour, or um, at least this much, like at least 10 minutes a day. Like I remember during the summer season, I had at least 10 minutes a day. It's hard some days because you're so busy that 10 minutes a day is like on your phone as you're going to sleep. But at least something. And this Prabhu was saying that um, if you can't read at least 10 minutes a day, then at least one sentence, just one sentence from Srila Prabhupada's books a day. And you can't even do that, then at least touch the book. At least see the book and be like, okay, I see that you're there. I can't read you today, but I see that you're there, touching you. And then tomorrow, at least it's in your vision. Because I notice for myself, sometimes you get very busy or so-called busy with so many different activities that you can totally forget to read. And then the books just, you see them on the shelf, but you don't even notice they're there. And then when you have free time, because you haven't been keeping Srila Prabhupada's books in your active vision, that it's like, oh, free time, what do I do? Oh, I need to do that. Oh, yeah, I can do that online and this. And then, yeah, time disappears. Um, so this other Mataji was saying that it's really important to have a structure for ourselves, like know our structure, which fits into one of these values of life of order and organization, to having to being able to use time very efficiently and have a very like systematic way that you do things. And it's nice this system actually like gives our mind freedom. It's when things are very chaotic that our mind actually isn't free because it's like bouncing around. It's so busy and there's so much going on that it can't focus on anything. But when we have like a system in place, we do this, like wake up at this time, chant from this time to this time, go to Mangalarti, then chant again, then do your service, then like this. It's all very systematic. Then it actually frees the mind. It allows it to be peaceful and calm. So she was saying, yeah, have an organization structure that's specific to you that works. Um, and then to also know your mind, know what doesn't work. So like for her, sorry, this Mataji was saying like she's like, yeah, I have a very ADHD mind. So she's like, I need a chant in the morning when it's dark. As soon as the sun comes in, I get totally bewildered. And I just start thinking of so many things. As soon as I go to the temple, I see this person, this person, this person, and the day is gone. So that was a nice point for me because I was like, oh yeah, okay, for myself, I know. As soon as I get onto my computer, like it's very hard for me to like focus and do things properly unless I'm with other people and I can like do admin work with shelter of other devotees there. So I know, okay, if I don't get my sadhana done before a certain time, then it's hard. Or if I need to go on my computer and it's after a certain time of the day when I'm tired, then it's very hard for me. Like if I go on, I mean, right now it's different because my services are different. But when I was in New Zealand, I figured it out that after 4 p.m. was when I finished my basically all my services, and I was just tired. So if I go on my computer after that point in time and you're tired, you're gonna space out. And it's not gonna be beneficial for time efficiency in terms of utilizing your time for the best things that we can. So yeah, creating a structure for ourselves so that we can be most efficient in terms of our chanting and our reading and getting it done in the most efficient way. Um, as someone was sharing the other day in class, that yeah, for I noticed this too, if we're chanting our rounds, if we don't chant rounds in the morning and then we chant them at night, then the less rounds you chanted in the morning, like if you only chanted 2 rounds and you still have 14 to go, then it's 14 rounds harder to chant your rounds at night than it would have been if we chanted at least 8 in the morning. Then it's like, okay, I only have 8 rounds left, but it's that much more harder. Whereas if we just get all of our rounds done in the morning, or we get like 12 done in the morning and we only have 4 left, then that's the best. But I have heard that if you chant all 16 rounds repetitively, uh, in a like at the same time every morning, and you actually get empowered to do your service. Like Krishna empowers that person to chant, to be able to perform their service properly. Um, so yeah, it's quite amazing. And then there's this idea of, yeah, calling out to Krishna, like praying to Krishna. Like everyone might have some prayers that they go through that they really like. Um, yeah, that they were like they like to recite as like these are prayers that I like um, to go through to like invoke some devotion and like and pray to Krishna in such a way. Um, but even if Krishna's in our heart, he's like the super soul, and he's all around us in so many different places. Like we have pictures of Krishna on the wall in the temple. We have the deity of Radha Damodar. We have Nitai Gaur Sundar here. We have, pictures of Krishna on our phone. We have pictures of Krishna in our rooms. We have basically everywhere you look, there's pictures of Krishna. So Krishna's everywhere. And he's also in our heart. So we can actually just talk to Krishna um, all the time if we want. And like have His Holiness Sri Swami says that even if we have a thought like, oh, I really wish I was like that devotee, or like, I really wish I was like so sincere, like this devotee, so sincere for Krishna, um, or, Krishna, I really want to be like this. But I'm just like, there's an internal struggle, like, oh, I'm really wanting to be like this, but I just having trouble overcoming this, the one thing, or this series of things is like keeping me from like really surrendering, but I really want to. And the super soul in the heart hears that and actually helps us as well, like helps. He's like, oh, I see that this is actually your desire. So like, let me help you. Let me help you try and achieve that. Mhm. So if we're in a really desperate place and we're calling out Krishna, like, wow, I'm so lost. Please, like, give me some help. Like, I really want to get back to that place when I'm attached to your service and I'm attached to hearing and I just want to hear and I want to read. Like, I really want to get back to that place. But right now there's so much going on and I'm so bewildered and I keep bewildering myself more and more. Um, so please, like, help me. Then Krishna helps. It might not be exactly as we want it to be, but he definitely gives some help to help us understand that. And I had this really nice experience when we were away traveling. Um, we yeah, first we went to one of our family's houses, and I was very sick. We both couldn't do anything properly, and yeah, literally all I could do was just chant my rounds in the day and sleep because I was so like feverish. Um, so I felt like my consciousness had gone down a lot, like just from the progressive year, this whole year. Um, and I was feeling like, oh yeah, I don't really feel like a devotee in terms of a like is saying in this purport, like a brahmana. I feel like a miser. Like I'm just after material things and my mind's attached to things that aren't Krishna conscious and so much. So then when we went to the temple, because we spent a couple of days in the LA temple, which is really amazing experience. I was like, okay, I'm gonna chant 32 rounds every day and read Srila Prabhupada's books 2 hours a day without fail. And go to a full Mangalarti, full morning program. And it was so nice. Krishna gave me such a nice experience that within like 2 days, if you're feeling like, oh man, like so down and out in your Krishna consciousness, um, if we just focus, okay, I'm gonna chant 32 rounds. I'm gonna make the effort. I'm gonna do 2 hours of reading a day, like without fail. And we just do that, even for just 2 days straight, like you can have a full turnaround. And I remember feeling like, wow, I actually like chanting Hare Krishna, and I actually like the devotees, and I like going to the temple, and I like I actually want to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Like I want to read Srila Prabhupada's books and figure out what's happening with like Chaitanya Charitamrita, what's Lord Chaitanya up to, um, what trouble is Nityananda Prabhu causing the Avadut, what is he doing, what drama's happening between Advaita Acharya and like Nityananda, what arguments are they having? Like it's actually attractive to hear. So it was so nice because it's been a while since I've like felt like really like, oh, I really want to read Shabbat's books. Actually had the desire. So yeah, that was a really nice experience to just be like, okay, even if, like of course we shouldn't plan on like slumming out in Krishna consciousness, but even if we slum out in Krishna consciousness, we have the like such an easy turnaround that we can at any point in time just pick up Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay, I'm gonna read for 2 hours. For the next 2 days, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the sacrifice. I'm going to organize my life and just do it like this really short-term goal. And then just as a matter of doing it, we actually develop taste. As His Holiness Deva Marina Swami says, like it's the current goal and it's the end goal. Like we're chanting Hare Krishna so that we can chant more Hare Krishna. We're reading Srila Prabhupada's books so that we can understand Krishna, and then we'll want to read more Srila Prabhupada's books. So yeah, I just found that really interesting, and I wanted to share because it's really nice. And it's happened to me a couple of times, unfortunately, due to my own lack of order and organization, that I've felt like unattracted to reading Prabhupada's books and unattracted to um, yeah, sometimes even unattracted to chanting, depending on the time of the day that you start your rounds. So it's nice to have that experience that Krishna gives us, like remembrances. Like, remember what it's actually like. This is actually what it's like. Remember, you used to really enjoy chanting. Remember, you used to really enjoy reading. It's actually still there within you. You've just forgotten. But let me remind you. And if that's the kind of person that we want to be, then we need to try and focus on reminding ourselves, okay, I want to be that kind of person that's attracted to hearing and chanting and that has a deep attraction for Krishna. So let me try and focus on that. And it brings me to my last point where, um, yeah, this material world it's full of distractions, and people are very plainly avoiding the realities of life, which are birth, death, disease, and old age, until it's like right in front of them. And one devotee once chastised me for sharing my dreams in Bhagavatam class, but I had this dream last night about this exact example, and that's why it's fresh in my mind. I was in like a restaurant with my family, and everyone was like sitting down and eating and enjoying and ordering different things on the menu. And I was there and I was looking at everybody. And then I looked out the window and there was like such a nice view of everything and the ocean. And then there was a tsunami coming, and it was like coming very, like destroying everything. And I was like, oh my God. And everyone was just like very peacefully enjoying. And I was like, you guys know there's a tsunami like coming, right? Like you see the tsunami coming. And I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, we're on the highest floor of this building. Like, it's not a problem. I was like, no, it's, coming really close. But then, the tsunami comes and it hits the building and it goes underneath. And I'm like, you guys, like, should we go somewhere? Like, this tsunami's here. It's gonna kill us. I was like, no, no, it's fine. Like, it's fine. We're on the top floor of the building. So then another one comes. This one comes a little closer. And then this one hits the windows of the glass, goes underneath the building. So then people start to get a little agitated. Oh, like, okay, maybe we should go to the higher floor. And then another one comes. And so then eventually everyone goes up to the higher floor, and this one comes and it breaks the windows, and people start panicking. And I was thinking, wow, this is just like the material world, Like people are sitting peacefully, like, oh, I'll just order this, or like, spending time with your family really makes you see how illusion people are. Like my aunt, she was telling me, we were having dinner one night and we had cooked, and she's like, it's so nice you guys are doing this vegan thing. Like it's nice that you're just doing it and you're not being like overly vegan about the whole vegan thing. She's like, you're not like criticizing us for our indulgence in like eating meat, or like actively pointing out. She's like, yeah, I get the whole vegan thing. It's not for me, but I can understand it. And I was thinking, of course, like ready to like sit everyone down and show them a documentary about like the slaughterhouse industry, but within the points of trying to maintain some peace in the family. It was like, wow, this is interesting. Like, people who are just sitting so like, yeah, sitting so calmly, just doing their thing, not thinking about like, okay, yeah, what's the result of this activity? Even in terms of own physical health, like, cholesterol problems. It's the main um, factor that boosts high cholesterol is like the consumption of meat and things like that. That's like the main thing that's killing people, giving them diabetes and boosting their blood pressure. So yeah, that's not even a consideration. But then when the problems start to show up, like you go to the doctor's like, oh yeah, you have some heart problems. You might need to cut back on something, or you might have a heart attack, or you have a heart attack and all of a sudden you're conscious of your health, or you see someone very close to you leave their body and you're like, oh my God, death like happens. You forget. So it's interesting how people can be very blind to all of these things or just covered over by the material energy and um, not be aware of like these things that are coming. So we don't want to get like that. We don't want to get to that stage where we're covered over and we just are like blindly doing things like, oh, yeah, I won't offer food because, yeah, whatever. It's all Krishna's anyway, so he'll accept it even if I don't offer it to him. Or, yeah, which is something that I've definitely heard and seen from lots of different people, devotees. Um, or yeah, if I don't read, it's fine. I'll just watch movies instead because movies aren't that bad. Anyways, it helps me think about Krishna in a different way, not realizing that we're taking on the consciousness of whoever created the movies, or the TVs, or whatever, TV shows, or yeah, I don't know. There's so many examples of how we can just like slip into a covered over lifestyle and be like, be happy with that, or just accept it as like, okay, that's just what it is. Um, but yeah, so that's the whole point. We should really try to figure out what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of devotee do I want to be? What are my deepest values? Like, what I want to hold on to and like pursue as values in my life, core values that I am. And then, yeah, we can try and shape our life like that. And we can aspire for the Brahmana position that Srila Prabhupada is saying here in the purport. So yeah, it's 5 to 7. I guess I can stop there. Um, hope that made sense. Does anybody have any questions from our live audience?
Thank you. I was wondering what are the implications for one's life if one has Krishna as their high high priority?
What are the implications in one's life if one has Krishna as their highest priority? Like, what are like the
Highest value.
highest value? Like, what are like the
What does it mean practically?
hmm?
Like, what does it mean practically?
What does it mean practically if we have Krishna as the highest value in our life? I guess it means um, we're destined for a life of simplicity. No, I don't know. I mean, having Krishna as the highest goal of our life means, yeah, that um, we're having our life in a way where we're not independent. Basically, we're dependent on Krishna. So if we take that to a very extreme example, like what was it, Kalavesha Shidar and Chaitanya Charitamrita, the banana leaf seller? And he was like completely dependent on Krishna, and he would use like whatever money he would get, he would put like just a little bit of aside for like um for his own maintenance, and the rest of it he would just give away right away to the devotees and to like the mission. And so the rest of it he was like completely 100% dependent on Krishna for his maintenance and everything. And even Lord Chaitanya would come and like steal banana leaves from him and like tease him and be like, "Oh, you have the highest wealth. You're the most wealthy person." Speaking about like his devotion and his love. So he was living a very simple life, but he was very dependent on Krishna. And there's also examples in Chaitanya Charitamrita of other devotees who are like completely, I remember his name, but he's like very wealthy, materially very wealthy, but he's also a very great devotee. So yeah, I guess in terms of wealth and things like that, you can't really make a discrimination, but if we have a life that's like focused completely on Krishna, then Krishna is like the main value in our life. Then yeah, I guess we'll have a really nice life full of like surrender and service um, and simplicity because life's not too complicated when we keep Krishna in the center. It's just like how can I serve Krishna breast full of transcendental anxiety, which His Holiness Srimad Swami says is like you're very fortunate if you get to stress out over your like services for Krishna. The implications, the side effects of that are that you can expect that you might not be so um, involved in material activities, or maybe you might have a reduced number. You might find it hard to associate with materialistic-minded persons. Um, I know you might find that you have less of a desire to um, go out to material activities like the cinema, or you might find that you even lose your taste for watching sports like football and rugby and cricket and basketball. Those are the side effects of being putting Krishna in the center of your life. You might find that you have more time in the day. So many things like that. Does it help? Okay, let's see if anything in the comments we've got.
How should how should how should one structure their life if that's their highest value?
Um, how should one structure if that's their highest value? I guess we have to find a structure that works for us as an individual. Um, if yeah, knowing what our strengths and our own weaknesses are, and putting Krishna as much as we can into our life. Like, if we know that we have a very busy and active mind and we get easily distracted, then we would prioritize um, our chanting and reading like in the earliest part of the morning that we can. Or, if we're working a job where we're like um, our working hours are not in one set like 8 to 9 or 5 to 4 or whatever. Sorry, 9 to 4, 8 to 3, whatever that hour chunk is. Our work is like we're working a little here and a little there and a little here, and it's kind of split up. Then trying to figure out, okay, what is like a set time that I can just do this? Like, okay, when am I free? I'm free usually around this time. Okay, this is my time for reading. This is my time for chanting, and trying to prioritize it like that. But yeah, I can send this lecture. It's really nice. This Mataji, this or SVK Sharmaraj really helps explain like, yeah, just trying to prioritize the sadhana. I'm learning too. Anything? Okay, so our comments. Um, Apparently we read the wrong verse today. Apologies for that. So we'll be hearing this verse again later on in the week. And yeah, thank you everyone for attending online. And I guess the altar probably is going to open soon, so we can stop there. Dhanraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Natakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Nitya Gaura Premanandi Hari.